Well, the Zen master agreed to help, but his lesson was highly unconventional. He brought Hiro to a courtyard featuring this massive stone basin, and it was filled to the absolute brim with water. He handed Hiro a ladle and told him his task was to transfer all the water from this giant basin into a tiny, empty bowl. Oh, and without spilling a single drop. So Hiro spends hours frantically scooping and pouring. The harder he tried, the more frustrated he got, and the basin barely looked touched. Seeing Hiro's extreme frustration, the master gently stops him and reveals the core problem. To empty the basin, you must first empty your mind. Hiro was failing because he was trying to build achievement on a foundation of stress. Our anchor concept today is exactly that. You simply cannot build discipline on a foundation of stress.
The master told Hiro to let go of his fears, his worries, and his desperate attachment to the outcome. So Hiro takes a deep breath, drops the immense frustration, and just focuses entirely on the sensation of each scoop of water. And you know what happened? The moment he stopped forcing it, he entered a state of pure flow. His mind cleared, his physical movements became completely effortless. It was like the basin practically emptied itself. This realization is absolutely crucial for us today. True discipline and achievement, they aren't born from frantic, stressed-out struggling. They are the natural byproducts of a clear mind and a deliberate focus. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Personal development precedes wealth. Clearing your mind is just step 1. To build discipline that yields real results, we really have to look at a harsh truth championed by business philosopher Jim Rohn. Ron taught that your income and success will rarely exceed your personal growth. Think about it. If you're accidentally handed $1 million, you'd better become a millionaire quickly or that money is guaranteed to disappear. Success isn't something you just pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. So how do we become that person? Ron lays out these 3 actionable frameworks for learning. First up, you've got to read for just 30 minutes a day. Standard education gets you standard results, but self-education makes you exceptional. Second, you have to listen. And here is the best advice. Find someone richer and more successful than you and offer to buy them an expensive dinner. Poor people rarely do this, but taking a wealthy person out for a 2-hour dinner and just listening to them talk might literally drop an idea in your lap that multiplies your income. Finally, observe. Success leaves clues, right? Watch how successful people shake hands. Watch how they walk. If a guy's making $10,000 a month, copy his walk. It's all about aggressively absorbing the traits of success around you. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is Section 2, debunking the hustle culture myth. It's time to completely flip the modern narrative on its head. Look, when we talk about becoming a disciplined person today, we are constantly bombarded by this toxic, over-motivated hustle culture sold by social media influencers. We hear these extremes, that David Goggins wakes up at 3 a.m. to run 20 miles, or that Elon Musk works 100-hour weeks. And yeah, they totally do. But we have to contrast that with your reality. Those ultra-successful people didn't start by climbing Mount Everest on day 1. They built the discipline muscle gradually. The truth is, true discipline starts at 0 for every single person on Earth. If you haven't even hiked a small hill yet, why are you beating yourself up for not summiting Everest? To properly build that muscle from 0, we have to understand how our brain categorizes tasks. There's a fundamental difference between these 2 habit types. First, you have time reminders, things like drinking water or writing in a journal. You don't resist them, you just forget to do them. An alarm completely solves this. Contrast that with your willpower bucket, like going to the gym or studying. You know exactly when to do it, but when the time comes, your brain actively fights you. To build our baseline of true discipline, we actually need a daily routine that trains both our memory and our willpower bucket simultaneously. And here is how we do exactly that. We implement these 4 simple domino habits derived from our sources. First, meditation. Set 3 alarms a day on your phone. When they ring, do just 5 minutes. Even if you eventually ignore 2 and only do 1, guess what? You built the habit. Second, wake up at the exact same time every day without snoozing. Former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink points out that the snooze alarm is a literal dream killer. Hitting it trains your brain to prioritize immediate comfort over your goals in the very first 10 seconds of your day. Third, never skip your workout. You don't even need a gym. Just commit to 10 home push-ups every day to train that willpower bucket. And fourth, quit sugar. It completely wrecks your cognitive function and willpower by giving you these massive energy crashes. Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 3, the scary level of discipline. Because once you master the basic domino habits, you unlock an entirely different level of execution, automating your identity. Now, there is a level of discipline that actually scares normal people. It's when you never fail, you never make excuses, and you keep going long after everyone else has quit. To achieve this, you have to completely automate your identity. We look to an incredibly powerful ancient Japanese concept created by Zen monks called Gyoji. It translates directly to continuous practice without gaps. Let me explain just how intense this is. At the Ai Temple in Japan, a bell rings at exactly 3:30 a.m. every single day, and since the year 1200 AD, the monks have woken up at that exact moment without a single day of hesitation. No way, right? But it's true. Not a single monk lies in bed debating if they should sleep in. The concept of negotiation simply does not exist in their minds. So why doesn't that negotiation exist? Well, it's because our brains categorize commitments into two boxes. A reversible commitment is a private promise to yourself, something like, I'll try to wake up early. That instantly turns into a mental negotiation. But an irreversible commitment? That changes everything. Harvard neuroscientists have spent 15 years studying this and found that when you make a public declaration, you turn a simple promise into an identity. Your primitive brain is actually wired to view public failure and loss of status in the tribe as a literal physical survival threat. When you announce to the world exactly what you are going to do, giving up suddenly becomes significantly more painful than just doing the hard work. But, public pressure isn't quite the whole shebang. You also need total structural lockdown. You need fixed hours and fixed forms. If you decide to do something at 5 a.m., you completely eliminate the question of when. And you must decide exactly what. For example, exactly 20 push-ups and exactly 10 minutes of reading in the exact same order every single day. Why? Because variety is where consistency goes to die. Every time you change your routine, you force your brain to make all these micro decisions. Making decisions burns up brain glucose. By having fixed hours and fixed forms, you achieve zero negotiation and save all your fuel for the actual execution. Let's track a real-world example of this so you can see the progression. There's a programmer named Raphael who tested this exact 90-day protocol. On day 1, he made his public declaration. He was terrified of looking like a failure to his friends. It was painful. But by day 14, thanks to fixed hours, his body actually started waking up automatically before his alarm. Day 40 was crucial, though. He had to navigate the all-or-nothing trap. See, when you get sick or travel, your brain tells you that if you can't do it perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. But Raphael kept the chain going, even imperfectly. By day 66, MIT research confirms exactly what happened to him. A part of the brain called the basal ganglia completely takes over. At this point, the behavior is an MIT-backed biological automation. It no longer requires willpower. You are no longer deciding to do it, you are simply doing it. And this brilliantly illustrates Section 4, the pre-solution matrix, because we all know perfect conditions do not exist, and the real test of discipline isn't when things are going perfectly, it's how we handle unexpected chaos. The reason most people fail isn't a lack of desire, it's assuming perfect conditions will last forever. They don't. Your car will break down. You'll get sick. You're going to have to travel. When chaos strikes, you need what Yale psychologists call a pre-solution matrix. Research proves that deciding while under stress leads you right to the path of least resistance, which basically means quitting. So you decide your backup plan beforehand. If it rains, garage push-ups. Hangover? Just 2 push-ups and 1 minute of meditation. Traveling? Airport bathroom push-ups. You completely remove decision fatigue. You aren't negotiating with the obstacle. When X happens, you do Y. The prefrontal cortex remains intact to execute, rather than scrambling to decide. It keeps that Gyoji chain completely unbroken. When you start doing push-ups in an airport bathroom at 4 a.m., your friends and family might tell you that you're being obsessive or that your discipline isn't normal. And honestly, that is exactly the point. Normal people get normal results. You are implementing a system that guarantees transformation, which leaves us with one final, provocative question for you to consider today. Are you ready to kill your inconsistent self and become unbreakable? Because remember, this incredible level of consistency isn't simply about doing something every day. It's about fundamentally becoming someone who can't do it any other way. Someone entirely new. So think about what your public declaration will be and